Welcome to McNeil Tech, the wash experience. My name is Scott Ferry and I work for Budco, a distributor of McNeil wash systems. Today we're going to demonstrate how to properly level and adjust the height of the Gloss Boss tire shiner. This is really important because if the Gloss Boss isn't perfectly level, then the product that's in the manifold, the application manifold, could run out and not properly apply product to the brush of the tire shiner. So we'll start. This is a two-part process. The framework has to be adjusted first, and then the brush carrier framework. When working on any equipment, understand all the hazards associated with the task. Before starting any work, lock out and tag out the equipment. Take all necessary safety precautions, including personal protective gear, which includes, but is not limited to, safety glasses, gloves, and footwear. The first thing that needs to be done is the framework that supports the equipment needs to be leveled. So that can be done by placing a level on the framework, and it needs to be perfectly level. So right now we see that the framework is perfectly level from entrance to exit of tunnel. Now it also needs to be leveled in this direction here. So by placing the torpedo level on the front of the equipment, this needs to be checked as well. Now this will not be perfectly level because you want it to be very slightly leaning towards center line of equipment. And when I say slightly, I mean that the bubble in the level is still between the lines. It's just edging towards the one edge. To adjust the levelness of this framework, there are 6 leveling posts that are immediately adjacent to the anchors. So you'll see that right here we have an anchor, and right here we have a leveling post. So to level the brush, we can simply loosen the anchor, and this can be done on all 6 of the anchors and leveling bolts, and then we can loosen the jam nut. Now once the jam nut's loosened, we can take this leveling post and move it up and down to these 2 on front. We'll level this from side to side, and then the ones on the back, which you can't see in the camera, but there's 2 more in the back of the framework, and those will level it from entrance to exit of tunnel. Once that has been done, it's really important to remember to get back in there and tighten your jam nut on that leveling post, and also to secure your anchor. Once those are secure, then you can move on to leveling the brush itself. Leveling the brush itself actually has a couple of things that are involved. First of all, we're making it level, but at the same time that we level the brush, we also have to adjust for height. When we do that, there's 2 adjustment screws that raise and level the brush, and those are right here and right here. Now in order to do this, we first of all have to loosen the clamp on the back side. So you can see from the still photograph that we have right here what that clamp looks like. Now you could have either 4 or 6 bolts depending on the generation of your equipment on each of these posts. So once those are loose, we can place a level on the brush, and then we're going to actually let it go into about the center point. So we're just going to kind of move that in, and we have a level on the brush. So now you can see that this is not exactly level. So to level the brush, what we're going to do is loosen the jam nuts on the leveling screws. So there's one right here, and there's also one right underneath here. So both of those have to be loose. So right now we're a little bit high on the exit end of the brush, so we're going to go ahead and raise the entrance side. So we just do that by tightening the screw. Now as we do that though, it's going to drop the exit end. So this is why it's kind of a balancing process. So now we've tightened it and it's level, but at that point we would need to take a tape measure and check, or a visual inspection, and make sure that the exit end of the brush isn't rubbing on the ground. But to compensate for that, we can tighten the exit side to bring it back up. And once we have that level and we have the height correct, then we can at that point tighten everything back down. So to do that, we would come back in here and tighten our jam nut here. And then it's really important to make sure that you secure it, the upper one as well. Now whenever you do this, if the brush has been in place for a while and you've made sure that the reason it's not out of alignment isn't because of bad bearings, it will be important to reapply some anti-seize to your leveling screws just so that it doesn't seize up as you're making the adjustment. But once you're done with the adjustment, make sure that you tighten everything back down, and at that point you should be ready to test and prime and wash cars. Once the work is complete and the conditions deemed safe, the lockout tagout can be removed. The reason that leveling the manifold or leveling the gloss boss is so important is because if a little bit of product runs out between cars, then the next time the tire shine is applied, it's only filling up the manifold rather than applying it to the tire. That is why it's so critical to have it perfectly level. Thank you for joining us at McNeil Tech, the Wash Experience.